Hello, I'm Mark Ballard, the curator here at Westonbirt, the National Arboretum.
And I'm Stephen Seagar. I was chairman of the Friends during the planning and delivery period of the project, which we now want to tell you about. A first-time visitor to Westonbirt today will be unaware of the huge changes that have taken place at the Arboretum since work began in 2012. The project, as it was known, is a remarkable example of collaboration between a government organisation and a charity. Looking back, I can honestly say that the project would not have happened without the intervention and support of FOA, the Friends of Westonbirt Arboretum. We are all proud of what has been achieved, and I feel privileged to have played a part in its success. The story begins in 1956, when the Forestry Commission acquired the Arboretum as payment in lieu of death duties. The Arboretum was originally a part of the much larger private estate of Westonbirt Manor, owned for more than 2 centuries by the Holford family. It was the far-sighted Robert Stainer Holford and his son George, who from about 1850 onwards were responsible for the creation of this unique botanical collection. The Arboretum opened to the public in 1961. For the next 20 years, visitor numbers rarely exceeded 60,000. However, by 1978, this figure had trebled. In recognition of the Arboretum's increasing popularity, various facilities, including a restaurant and visitor information centre, now the Westonbirt Shop, were created. However, these did not resolve the fundamental problem of managing growing numbers of people arriving at the Arboretum. A much more radical rethink of the whole site was required, in particular, a more professional welcome in keeping with a visitor destination of increasing national significance. On busy days, the queue of cars waiting for admission could reach as far back as the main Bath Road and beyond. Staff and loyal visitors alike were keen to reduce the admission queue for visitors and protect the Grade 1 listed downs from the impact of high volumes of visitors and car parking. The Arboretum had always attracted supporters and enthusiasts, and in 1985 a small group of these came up with the idea of forming a charity to support the Arboretum. And so the Friends of Westonbirt Arboretum came into being and immediately established a partnership with the Forestry Commission. As a charity, FOA can raise and manage funds to support the Arboretum. Furthermore, its members and trustees bring a wealth of experience and expertise to the partnership. More than 350,000 people were visiting the Arboretum each year. Visitor numbers were fast becoming unmanageable. Something had to be done. A radical master plan was devised. Initially, this proposed a new car park, accessible before admission, a place of arrival and welcome, restoration of the downs, additional facilities for the tree team, and some form of new visitor attraction would follow. These plans stalled for lack of funds and resources. The Forestry Commission had barely enough people to manage the site, let alone embark on a major project. It was at this point that a number of FOA trustees with experience of fundraising and project management got together with the Forestry Commission to form a dedicated team specifically to make the project happen. With funding from FOA, it was then possible to recruit essential project and fundraising staff to manage the project. And so, under the able overall leadership of the Arboretum director, the much-needed project was at last underway. However, the path to success was not straightforward. Just as the project was making real progress, the government announced its intention to make serious staff cuts and sell off a part of the forest estate. Would Westonbirt be up for sale? For FOA, this was more than a remote distraction. In addition to the certain loss of FC staff, trustees were faced with a possibly huge upheaval, including the option of some kind of takeover or buyout. And then another setback. The major funding bid to the Heritage Lottery Fund had to be rewritten when our local partner pulled out. With everything set to go, the local authority turned down our planning application and we had to go to appeal. Fortunately, we won, but it was another obstacle to overcome. In the spring of 2014, our royal patron, the Duchess of Cornwall, joined us to celebrate the successful completion of the first phase of the project. At last, visitors could access the car park easily and from there be welcomed at the new building with its up-to-date facilities and information centre with a panoramic view of the Arboretum, beautifully set off by the newly restored downs. Just 2 years later, we celebrated the completion of Phase 2. Westonbirt now has a very special new attraction, the treetop walkway. Visitors can now experience a very different view of the trees as they cross the valley into Silk Wood. And for the first time in nearly 60 years, the tree team have the facilities they deserve. A huge timber frame building for all the tractors and other gear and an architect-designed mess room, complete with cooking and drying facilities for those rainy days.
I'm truly proud to have been part of the Westonbirt Project for many reasons. Firstly, I think we've achieved so much, but more importantly in many ways, the amazing team spirit, the way we all work together as part of a team, particularly the Forestry Commission and the Friends of Westonbirt Arboretum. I think together we did so much more than we could have alone. But we've got to say a big, amazing thank you to the members, to the supporters, the donors, everybody that played their part in making the Westonbirt Project what it is today, and all the things, the wonderful facilities that we've now delivered that enable visitors on a daily basis to appreciate the Arboretum, to enjoy it much, much better than they would have before. But we cannot rest on our laurels. There's still much to do, I believe, to make us truly world leading so that Westonbirt can play its part on the world stage. We've got lots of plans up our sleeves, and I think together we can also achieve those wonderful things that make Westonbirt even greater than it is today.